Welcome to the MMA Roadshow, episode number 585. My name is John Morgan, and Cold Coffee is with me, and this is an extra special edition. It is the UFC Freedom 250 edition. I am currently still back home in the fight capital of the world. Meanwhile, Cold Coffee is in the capital of the United States, and for all intents and purposes, the fight capital of the world for this week, because UFC Freedom 250 is happening right there. Cold Coffee, we got a lot to talk about, and I was kind of thinking about how do we approach this, how do we go about it, and I kind of wanted to go like chronologically and how your week is gone and talk about the things, and we're going to do that, but we can't bury the lead. I mean, we have to try. You literally just moments ago were over at the actual structure. You were where the fights are taking place. You were on the south lawn of the White House. You were underneath the claw. You saw the whole thing up close. So I don't know, man. I just want to get your first impressions, because if we're just throwing all our cards on the table, if we're throwing all of our cards on the table, I'm all about this event. I think it's the greatest thing ever. But you know me, I'm a hardcore MMA fan. I have lived this thing. I have committed my life to this industry. And so I'm going crazy. But you know, not that you're not excited, but you know, you're an observer of governmental things, and you.
Granted, yeah, I went there to the White House today thinking we'd talk about some energy policies, and about this stuff over in Iran, but then I just happened to see this UFC Freedom 250 arena.
Well, yes,
I happened to see the claw.
I believe you take part in political discourse more than I do. I kind of just abstain entirely. Like, it's not just a show thing. I just don't do it. Like, it's not my life. But you're a little bit more involved. You're a little bit more. So anyway, nevertheless, all that aside, what were the? I mean, you had to be blown away. This thing, I'm seeing it on social media. I'm seeing it secondhand. So just like anybody listening right now, I have yet to see it. I will see it this weekend. I'm flying out late Friday night, but I have yet to actually be there. You have been there. Cold Coffee, other than the fact that you had to get up at 4 a.m. to go on this tour, yes. What were your impressions of now that you've seen it up close?
Well, I will say initially I got a lot of vibes that you would understand too, where it, Vegas during the day looks one way, mm-hmm. and Vegas at night looks a different way. So What I got today was very impressive, but I feel like it wasn't even a fraction of what it's going to sort of be at night.
Good point.
When it's all lit up.
Yep.
I will tell you, I did a bus tour last night, and the lights of the claw or the setup shoots up into, the space, up above with multiple sort of beams that are sort of moving around, and it was very, very bright. So as I'm looking over, at the monuments, you could see these bright lights, and I was like, what is that? And I was like, oh, it's from the White House. So the way that it's going to look on the screen when it's all lit up, those lights are going in the way that the White House is sort of in the backdrop of some of the shots. It's going to look pretty fantastic, because I think you'll get some of those shots that shoot through the cage, or shoot over top of the cage, and you'll see the White House in the backdrop and stuff. And there's actually a camera that was up in the White House, up on the third level or whatever. When you sort of look at the White House, that you see some of those images, got the staircases that kind of wind down from the top, or for the second level down. But up atop there is a camera that I saw up there, and that'll shoot back the other particular direction. So you'll get some shots of the memorial, the Washington whatever memorial in the background, and then looking down on the cage. And I think part of that camera too, so is that if it rains, they're able to use that camera shot to shoot inside as well. But I will tell you, it's interesting. Everybody's calling it the claw, because it's sort of just like these. If you think of your fingers and you put them in, make like a claw and just sticking it in the ground.
Yeah, it's like a claw machine, right? Like a claw machine, right?
But when you look up to it, and it is sort of covered, so at the top part, so it almost looks like a eighth of a dome or something. It was much more covered at the top than I thought it would be. The structure is pretty huge, extensive, in the way that it stretches down, and it's got the banner that's colored in the red, white, and boom. It looks like a flag that sort of wraps around it and stuff. There were some actually really cool shots so I did a video of it, like a tour of it, and there's a couple shots that I was able to pan from the top of the claw over to like a flag, and then over to the White House or whatever. And I was like, never thought I'd be shooting this. Like,
Wow.
this is kind of unique. So that was pretty surreal. But after a while, it was just like, it was tours. It was more chairs on top of chairs. So it was kind of like, okay, it looks like it's going to be pretty impressive. But honestly, during the day, it's a little, I don't want to say lacking, because that makes it sound like it's
Well, I think
not impressive for what it is. But at night, it's going to look, I think, when the lights are really showing up, because some of the boards against the wall, weren't really lit up, and so they were kind of flat against the sun that was rising, so it was hard to really get a good view of what I think those will stand out later on at night. And especially with like the White House, the way that it'll be lit up, so that it'll be a prominent point in the background. But just the history of being sort of there and just understanding where I was, and let alone the multiple checks we had to go through, the the Secret Service checks, and like we've been through Secret Service checks before when, say, we went to Madison Square Garden and President Trump or somebody was there.
Right.
We've had to set our bags down there, and they took a dog over top of them, and then we still ran them through like a machine. This one, after we had to all have, of course, real IDs, where anybody, the whole voter ID stuff, like real IDs, you have to use them now to pretty much travel everywhere. So they made sure you were on the roster, checked your real ID to make sure that it matched. Went through there, dropped all of our gear off another area. They walked the dogs through them. Then they had these two other, then everybody had to kind of walk. You had to put them down, and they had to leave them where they were. They walked a dog over them. And then these two other techs came through with some other like high-techy stuff that it was interesting. I don't know what it was. I think it was either trying to read for maybe radioactive or other sort of material stuff.
Like a
stuff
scanner
that a
or
dog
something?
couldn't ping on. It looked like a camera. It looked like
camera.
one of my cameras, like a nice big handheld camera, but it had a certain feature on the front of it, and then two like radio antennae sort of things on the back of it, and his partner had like this panel that would laid there that I don't know if it was like reflecting against it or something. It was like two-part thing or whatever. I was trying to figure it out. I was watching it, so you could tell they were sort of scanning the area to just see if there was sort of anything. Then they stopped, put that down, and then they went through everybody's bag. Then they were like, okay, everybody come down in this row after they look their bag, turn your gear on, and then walk away. So people turn the gear on, and then they'd walk away. And then they go back to it after they finally did that again, and then they still double-checked like another time, and because there were 4 rows of people's gear, and it took forever. And I'm granted, normally they probably don't have to go through this much stuff, because I saw one of the Secret Service or one of the house security guys tell these 2 tech guys, like, great job on rushing through all that. And I was like, rushing through it, bro. I was like, bro, that took like 30 minutes that we're standing there as the sun's going up. But, they were very, very thorough. It was sort of a manual x-ray, because they didn't run our stuff through a machine to sort of look at it.
That's
they were doing
crazy.
it, by hand and stuff. But the different little things that they had, so it might have been like a portable x-ray machine is kind of what these guys were rolling around with. But it was pretty intense, but we got through that. So just going through that set a precedent in our mind. And then we had to walk in groups, and they walked us through into a no restricted area. And then you started getting into it where you were seeing where a lot of people are talking about when you see the images of, sort of all the construction. Now, the construction of the East Wing is going on at the same time as this stuff. So there you saw people going in there doing that, and a lot of that stuff was sort of fenced off. And you could see, different cranes that were working on that stuff. But then you saw all these Zuffa boxes and all the other sort of stuff that's sort of like staged for the ellipse stuff. So you could see that off in the background. And then the different signage and stuff that they set up for this arena that they built up around it was very, very impressive. But the whole time, I'm like looking at the White House, and then I'm looking the opposite direction. I was like, this is kind of surreal.
That's
I'm
wild.
looking at this building that I've seen, for our whole life as being this beacon of our government, and here we are. I'm turning around, then I see this other part of my life that has been another major thing, but they're smashed like within feet from each other. I'm like, this is kind of surreal, but it was very, very neat to see. But I will say it still felt like Vegas during the day, where I was amused. I thought it was like, wow, this is incredible. But at the end of the day, an octagon's an octagon.
Right.
We've seen octagons before. It was exactly the same sort of octagon that we've seen before. If anything, the only thing that looked a bit different was the steps to get up to it were different than what they have normally in a setup. They were like these more metal. Oh, I know why they were fucking different. It was metal steps to go up that were branded cryptosomething.com, and I was just like, okay, this is a damn sponsor steps. But I noticed that. I was like, wow, these steps look different. I remember looking, I was like, oh, they're branded steps, so somebody sponsored the steps or whatever. But besides that, it was just, definitely lots of seats sitting around. I saw the orchestra area.
Yeah.
The orchestra is, so if you're looking at the White House from the octagon, you're staring over the orchestra or the band section that they have, and then the seats sort of fan out behind it. So everybody is going to be looking towards the White House and the octagon. So that is going to be in everybody's visual backdrop. So that part is actually pretty cool.
Amazing.
That if you're there, you're going to see that. And I think they'll do a pretty good job of showing that or getting that same effect on TV from the cameras that shoot in that general direction. But it was pretty surreal, man. It was pretty surreal. But I'm looking forward to see how it looks at night. And the ellipse, because the ellipse looks like a setup like you would see for just outdoor concerts, that even in Vegas where they have that field that they just sort of set up stages and then just kind of stretches beyond or whatever, and they have different little sort of like stanchions off to the side and other little stuff, and the giant like porta potty areas off to the sides. So there'd be plenty of porta potties because if they thought there was going to be 80,000 people, they put a F load of porta potties in two different areas.
That's necessary.
It is very, very necessary. But it's pretty interesting. But it looked very impressive. But it looked like you could tell, like waiting for it to get dark, and turn the switch on. And I think that was the whole thought process about putting this on in the evening, is for the spectacle of how it's going to look with all those lights lit up, and then being able to turn the other camera, because I'm sure we're going to have cameras positioned to shoot shots of some of the other monuments that are within eyesight from where the White House and stuff is. So it's pretty amazing, man. And doing the bus tour yesterday and getting to go by some of the different stuff, driving by the Pentagon, and then going by Jefferson Memorial, and then went by the Iwo Jima Memorial and a bunch of the other memorials and the Smithsonian's and stuff that we passed, and it was just like, man, yeah, we're here, man. It's Washington D.C., man. It's pretty surreal. And then to see the construction, because when we did the tour, we were on the street side looking at the White House, and I could see the claw extending above the White House, and I was like, oh my goodness, this thing is ginormous. And you couldn't really get a good view of it when you went the other direction, because it was all sort of closed off the backside of this venue, that or arena that they've set up. So it's sort of up on a hill that goes into the White House, so you couldn't really see it. So, but wasn't quite sure what to see till we actually got on the ground today. And man, it is pretty impressive. It's big. It's not as big as I thought it would be when we saw some stuff. Well, actually, yeah, it is. It's when we saw some of this picture, I was like, oh my goodness, it looks like I thought it would look like it was like 100 feet in the air. And I don't know how tall this structure is. It could be about 100 feet. But it's pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive. But yeah, I'm waiting to see when they turn the lights on, man, and when everything gets going. It should be pretty cool. So those people that are lucky enough to be on the ground, man, I think they're going to get quite a show.
I listen. By the way, I was looking at it. 92 feet tall actually is the specs.
All right,
on
so I was pretty darn close. It's about 100 feet.
Pretty close. 600 tons of solid steel, if you can believe that. Pretty crazy stuff. So, well, that's
because all the lighting rig and all that stuff is getting hung. A lot of that lighting rig and other stuff are getting hung on that, and you got to figure some pretty important people are going to be underneath all that stuff, so it needs to be pretty darn. It needs to be pretty darn, sturdy.
That's funny, man. No, I think you nailed the description of it. It's like Vegas during the day and Vegas at night. Like I think that's a perfect way to say it. Because when I saw those first pictures that Dana White posted on his Instagram of it at night with the lights and everything, like it's unbelievable. So I was looking at your guys' footage, and everybody's posting on social, obviously, of the tour footage. And you're right, it is the scale of it is amazing. But I think at night it's going to be something amazing. And I guess look, I'm excited. I can't wait to get out there. And, the people that are critical of this and have questions about the event, those are all fair. I mean, those are fair. Yeah. Like, should there be – you've brought it up all along. Hey, even though TKO is footing the majority of the bill, there's no way there can be no tax dollars at it, because, there's security and there's people working and all those are funded by the government. So even though the TKO did their best to pay for everything, there's still tax dollars that are being spent here. And then you could start getting into questions of, well, what about the political relationship between TKO and Donald Trump? And then there's the Paramount Plus merger. So there's all these rabbit holes that you can go into and discussions to be had about whether it's right, whether it's wrong, whether the motivations, what they all are. And those are all very, very fair discussions, and it's fine to have them. But me, as the MMA fan that I am, I'm really excited to just soak it in. Like, it is happening, and whether you think it's right or it's wrong, it's our favorite sport.
It's still
happening on the White House lawn, and it's going to happen, right? So, and it's some pretty good fights. And, of course, we'll talk about the fights as well, but you can't talk about much like the Sphere, you can't talk about this event and not let the event itself and the structure itself be the story, be the center of it. The fights matter, and all those athletes matter, but it is going to be the center of it. One thing, you were talking about the camera angles and where they're going to shoot. I did find interesting yesterday, watched all the media day coverage. Craig Brassari, obviously, who's been around for 20 years, head of production, was there, and he talked to you guys for a long time. I thought one thing that he brought up that was interesting, and there were a lot of interesting parts, is that they didn't get clearance to use drones for shooting around there. Obviously, I'm sure that's a silly production thing, but I found that interesting that even though the White House and the government is basically giving you carte blanche to do whatever you want, and you're taking over, when you ask to put some drones in the air, that's going to be a little too much. We can't allow that to happen. I found that kind of interesting.
Yeah, you got to think. Even if they tried to clear them, the fact that there's always the possibility that they can't keep track of each and every one and to possibly identify if another drone entered the airspace. So, at least that's my thought.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Even with like the White House, everybody says, it's got different security systems that are built into it that are supposedly be able to help if there should be some sort of aerial attack or something like that, and you got the Pentagon that's not far away from it or whatever. But say if they even put one drone up into the air, and somebody's monitoring, at least the flight plan is supposed to be, most people have to file stuff with the FAA or whatever, and it can be tracked, and if they have transponders, if they have some sort of thing that can ping it or whatever. But in today's age, with the way that people are able to build these drones, and we see them being utilized in in the Ukraine and in Iran and all these other sort of things, that I think it would, if they opened up the airspace to one, even two, I think the possible of time of identifying if one entered into that same airspace at the same time and being able to differentiate if one is good or not or whatever, I think they just said no. It's just way too risky.
Safer play. It's a safer play.
Safer play, just to say, for a shot that maybe gets used, that I'm sure they use once or twice or whatever, where at the end of the day it's just like it's not worth it. So, I'm sure they wanted to be able to do those nice little aerial shots, but at the end of the day, when it comes to the security or something, I can see where they were just like, yeah, we can't budge on that one. It's just
it
too
definitely
many.
Makes sense. Too many variables
factors.
At that point.
Yeah.
So you've been
but
there
it would look pretty darn cool, though.
Oh, it would look cool to have that sweeping. I'm sure they'll have like the jib and all that, so you'll still get some of the movement shots. But obviously, the drone flying through the space would be awesome. But everything you explained there makes a lot of sense. Okay, so we know it's happening at night. You guys talked about this a lot with Craig Brassari. So obviously, they're taking multiple precautions. He talked about the fact that they're going to cover the octagon so the canvas won't be hot. They're going to keep it cool as well. It's going to be at night. But I think the one question now. You stood under it now. If it rains, they say they're going to fight regardless. Craig talked about the fact that canopy is going to cover a little bit of it, but if there's any wind at all, even he said the rain's still going to come in.
So it'll come in from the sides.
That's a possibility.
Like if you're having straight little drips that's just coming straight vertically, which we know that, of course, rain just goes straight up and down. It never flies at an angle,
Yeah, 180 degrees every time.
There is a coverage over top it, but you got to, just like you said, that structure sits almost 100 feet up in the air. The octagon maybe sits 10 feet up from the ground, 12 feet, something like that. That's a lot of open space for rain to come in. So, I think they would try to go in all the other seats for the most part outside of, even the orchestra probably be pretty good for a little bit, but on the backside towards the White House, it's all open. If it rains, people are going to get wet. Are going to get wet, and it would make the canvas would get slippery. It would get wet if some drops start getting there, let alone, just people being, upset because they're getting rained on. But the fighting platform would become slippery,
and
I would think.
I will say their canvas that they use is pretty absorbent. So obviously we just did an outdoor show, and we were all very worried about this, obviously on a much different scale, of course. But we actually tracked down, credit to Brad Bolton, he actually tracked down the company in Las Vegas that makes the UFC canvases. And I actually went to the shop to go take a look at the canvas because, theirs is a true canvas, and it's got a little bit of absorption to it. And they were actually in the process of making some of the canvases. Again, if it's pouring down, it's going to get moist. If it's a little bit, I don't think it'll be too slick if it's just a little bit of rain, but let's all knock on wood and hope that doesn't happen. How has the humidity been? I know everybody's been talking about that.
It sucks.
Yeah,
bro. We were sitting there waiting to get through the security, and like everybody was sweating. Like I'm always sweating, whenever, just because I'm a sweaty bastard. Everybody was sweating and complaining. I was like, okay, I know it's not just me. Like it was like, it's pretty. It's not swampy, but you can feel it. You can definitely feel the humidity, and today there's like a heat advisor. They think the heat index, like, I don't know if it's like the feels like or whatever, is supposed to be like 105. So it's like, I think we're supposed to get up to like 96 today or something like that. So with the humidity, it could be bad. It could be definitely bad. But, for them, for the most part, if there's a breeze, it feels amazing, because even if you're a little sweaty and you got the humidity, if you get a breeze, you're going to feel pretty good. And maybe these guys might be like, well, shoot, it's just going to warm me up. I'm going to start sweating a little bit. My muscles might prime up a little bit or whatever. Or it's going to give them the, like, hey, this is not fun. Let's get this fight done with. I'm going to go knock this fool out and get out of here, get back to the AC. But no, it doesn't feel like deep south, like crazy, like Florida swampy, like, it wasn't like oppressive, but it was to the point where you could definitely feel it. But also, I don't know if everybody was quite feeling that bad. Us from the desert, whenever I go back into humidity climates, I feel it more so than maybe others that are just from other parts of the U.S. or other parts of the world. But it looked like everybody sort of today was feeling the fact of like, wow, we got to get this tour done before the sun gets up higher, or we're all going to be like even sweatier mess. But yeah, it's funny because I just switched back into shorts, and it's to the point where like the top part of my jeans on the backside wet. My shirt was pretty soaked towards the back, so we definitely got some sweat out there today. But yeah, these fighters, they're going to be sweating pretty easy. Well, out there,
so that's what I was going to get to. But all right, so two things. By the way, it's funny because my wife pointed out to me that the young Harold on the team was wearing a suit today. She follows him on social media actually because they worked together at the Craig Jones Invitational a couple years ago and got to know each other. So she was like,
yep. A lot of people did.
A lot of people. She was like, do you think Kenny's wearing a suit right now? I was like, hell no. She's like, look, Harold's wearing a suit. I was like, oh, look at the young buck out there wearing a suit, trying to make it all proper.
What's funny because like the PR yesterday said like, all right guys or whatever, I know we're going to the White House, so maybe just make sure you don't wear, completely inappropriate stuff like that. If you want to bring like a suit or whatever. I was like, you think I'd pack a suit? I was like, what? I was like, how about I put jeans on a polo? So I put jeans on in a polo and went.
Look, I got to pack my bag. I still don't know if there's media seating. We still don't know where we're going to be or anything like that. But I'm bringing slacks. I think I'm bringing slacks. I think instead of wearing just shorts, I think
When
I'm
do you get
slacks.
there?
I get Saturday morning. I'll be there early.
And
Saturday
so they're
morning.
good with you. When are you able to get your credential? Do they have it set up that you can still get your
There
credential
is.
at
They
a
said
certain
you.
point?
They said you can pick it up on Saturday. Because you guys have the same credential all week long, right? I've been reading that. You got a special
even though
credential.
tomorrow's the first day where we actually really have to use it. But yeah, we had to go to a different pickup spot. The same people that are doing a lot of credentials for the workers and other particular stuff. And yeah, it was like a whole different process. It wasn't just like going to meet the UFC people. We had to go meet these other people that were handling it. And the first day, Kenny trying to be the go-getter, and I get there, and I walk 20 minutes through the town, sweaty. By the time I got over there, I was like, all right, let's just get this. I got my walk in. I'm good. I got my steps. And get inside. They're like, oh, sorry, the machines went down. We're done trying to give these out for the day. And I was just like, are you serious? I was like, Sweaty Kenny just walked 20 minutes over here to get his credential. Because they didn't send an email because it's not the UFC handle. It's these other people. So there wasn't like they were like, oh, sorry, guys, we're done. Let's tell the PR people and have them send out an email and say,
don't come over,
guys,
don't
don't
waste
show
your time.
up. Don't come over. Waste your time. But yeah, so yeah, I was gonna say make sure you if you're all squared with that because that it is more of a process to get in there. But I was gonna say once you get your credential, you'll be able to see if you're on like the South Lawn or not because it'll have an initial on it that my credential does not have. That will be on the South Lawn.
What? You're not there on the South Lawn? I'm shocked.
No.
I'm shocked. So
I
do
know.
you know where you're going to be on fight night? Are you in the hotel or on the Ellipse? Do you know?
I'll be on the hotel, but I have access to go over to the Ellipse, and it's like, but it's one shot deal, no re-entry. So if you go over to the Ellipse and then you leave, they don't want you like coming and going, coming and going, sort of deal. So it's a one shot deal. So I'm planning on, so I'll be at the host hotel, but I'm gonna walk over to the Ellipse, see. My plan to watch a couple fights, take in the scene, take a selfie, probably feel that it's humidity and I don't like it, and all the crowd, and then I'm gonna walk my butt back over to the host hotel, get back acclimated to the AC, and watch the rest of the fights on the TV, and then wait for them to bring everybody over.
So I was looking because I think initially there was some discussion that maybe they wouldn't bring anybody over until the very end of the night, but I think they changed that, right? They are going to bring athletes.
No,
throughout
they're still
the
bringing
night.
everybody. It's all going to be all up on the dais at the same time.
Oh, so the post fight's going to be like old school post fight, like everybody at one
Yep.
time.
Everybody up there at one time.
Got it.
At least that's what I've heard.
That's the understanding.
It's going to be everybody at one time.
Well, that's cool. That's,
I think part of it too, because just the transport of being able to. So what I'm assuming is that they're going to either, maybe they will try to transport people if they don't have a holding space. They'll try to bring fighters to a holding space at the host hotel, or they're going to hold them somewhere there, and then bring them all back after. But I'm assuming they're going to take them and hold them in an area on the in the host hotel because looking at the space over there. I don't think they're going to be like, hey, go hang out. Well, they certainly can't go hang out in the East Wing since it's gone, So
there's Cole Coffee.
I think
There
they'll
he
probably
is.
like. I
There
think they'll
he
probably
is.
put them on a bus and be like, hey, we're going to go put you back on the thing and hang out here or whatever. And it's last thing that they want is people loitering around one of the most secure locations.
Yeah.
And when I looked, it wasn't. Underneath the venue, so I was saying it's sort of like a ramp up, and then if you look at the video that I put on Junkie today, it opens up with a scene where I pan this backdrop, and if you look, I don't know if you could really see it, but underneath that backdrop banner on the bottom underneath that are like the Octagon Girls changing rooms. I think the edit bays. Like they just have those FEMA trailers. They're sort of stuck underneath it. So there's these structures underneath where everybody is sort of like standing on. So like the ellipse floor, the claw floor, like where the octagon, that sort of platform that's leveled out. There's stuff underneath it that. So there's different like stuff under that, but there's not enough. There's not like holding areas that they can stick the fighters in it. So I don't, outside of the fighters walking out of like the White House or whatever, I don't think they have any little area to like just stick them to stay. So I think they might maybe put them somewhere and then just hold them over at the hotel. But But yeah, I'm gonna go over to the ellipse. I'm gonna take it all in, and then I'm just gonna go back to my table and eat some food and watch TV. Probably.
Definitely.
Get out of the humidity.
I can't
get
wait.
out of the wackiness.
Well, all right. So let's go back to media day. Like I said, I watched all the media day coverage. Talk to me about media day. I mean, you kind of already talked a little bit about the security and like how much added security. I'm assuming it was similar there, or maybe not, since you guys were just at a hotel, not.
Yeah, no, the hotel wasn't so much. We haven't nothing, outside of a typical fight week host hotel type deal.
So not that. Well, how many people were there? Because several of the fighters were like not used to this many people being here. So how? But I was listening to all the interviews.
No, it was nowhere near the 200 that they said. There was probably 50. There's probably like 50.
I wonder because it sounded like there was this huge. Because I'd heard that there were like 200 credentialed or something, and then I think there's like 1,000 credentialed or some crazy stuff for fight night or whatever. I don't know what it is, but I was listening to the same 5 or 6 voices that I hear at every UFC media day. You know what I mean? So I was like, how much media is actually there? So you said about 50.
Yeah, no, it was probably about 50. Yeah, no more than 60. Definitely not 100 because you had some looky-loos that came in and out and sort of were on the periphery. But there were points where there might have been 20 photogs that all of a sudden by the end there were 20 photogs taking photos of stuff like that. So when you add them all up, there maybe could have been 50 to maybe not 100. There wasn't that many, but when they said there were going to be 200, I thought this room was going to be ginormous. And it was a decent-sized room, but it did not look to me like it would hold 200 people, and it wasn't even full, So I would say anywhere roughly 50, 60 people. Maybe, I don't know, maybe more than that, but not that many. Not that many.
All right, so we'll talk about the fights in just a second in the media day and things that unfolded there. But I guess just so everybody understands, for the rest of the day, you're kind of done. That media tour was it. But then Friday, it is at I believe. Oh, geez, I didn't realize it's so late. At 8:15 Eastern p.m. is the press conference. So you'll have all 14 athletes up there again. I'm sure Dana White will be in attendance as well. So 8:15 p.m. Eastern is the press conference. Then you'll have, of course, the official weigh-ins on Saturday morning. Those are a little bit later than normal if you're going to try to catch the live stream that Cold Coffee will have out there, I'm sure. I believe it starts at 11 a.m. Eastern, so normally it's 9 a.m. local, but since the later start times, it's 11 a.m., so just mark your calendars for that. There will be ceremonial weigh-ins as well as a Zuffa boxing press conference, which I don't know if we know who's going to be there for that. I'm sure they'll tell us. I will actually be in Washington, D.C. by that time, and then the Zach Brown band performance that will follow at the Ellipse. And then, of course, the fights are on Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Media check-in starting 2.5 hours early, and it sounds like you probably need to get there 2.5 hours early just to be safe with all the added security. So that's what's left to come this week. But yesterday there was the media day. Ilia Topuria and Justin Gaethje, of course, the headliners. Ilia Topuria, calm, cool, collected, the way he always is. He's got that swagger about him. Justin Gaethje, I love the fact that he's as honest as you can get. He's just like, let's get this over with. I'm ready to be done with it.
I'm ready to get in a fight.
He was ready to go. He's, listen, he doesn't love doing the interviews. He doesn't hate the media themselves. He just hates the process of doing it all. So, but no surprises, I think, from either one of them. I'm sure probably everybody feels the same about this, and that Ilia Topuria is one of the best mixed martial artists on the planet right now. He's the favorite for an absolute reason. But I will say, man, I am giving Justin Gaethje an opportunity. I feel like when this was first announced, everybody just said, this is dumb. Why is this fight happening? Like, this is a mismatch. This shouldn't be. And again, if Ilia Topuria sparks him out in 2 minutes like he says he's going to do, it wouldn't shock me because he's just that damn good. But Justin Gaethje, man, if you need somebody to get into a war and deliver a missile on the South Lawn and hoist that American flag high in the air, it's Justin Gaethje, right? I mean, he's at least got a shot in this, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's Justin freaking Gaethje.
Yes.
I mean, he's always got a shot. I mean, it just it's really just if Ilia doesn't, really. I mean, even if you take a fight to Justin, Justin's ready to just root his feet into the ground and throw bombs, But, it's not like he's going to be, trying to, I'm going to work around the octagon and come at you at, crazy angles. No, He just goes forward straight into your face and drops bombs. And, I think if Ilia, wants to make it a little fun and kind of, I don't know, not toy around, because Ilya's not that way either. He kind of wants to get right at it too, so I think we know what we're going to get with this fight. But at the end of the day, Justin has a fighter's chance. I mean, he's got good hands, he's got good power, and he can eat a punch,
Yep.
But Ilya has some serious power, and, if he's trying to come walking, I think probably the smartest thing that I think Justin's going to try to do, he's going to try to take those legs out from him as soon as possible and try to, take a little bit of that movement and take some of that power away. And Justin's got nasty leg kicks. He's got nasty, nasty leg kicks. He literally can disarm somebody. But Ilya's, I mean, he's smart, he's fast, he's elusive. But, man, yeah, I mean, if he takes Justin lightly, which I've never seen him take anybody lightly. So, I mean, I guess everybody can have a bad day. We've seen people be completely prepared and something else shows up and we're just like, what is that? But I don't think we've seen Ilya have a bad day at the office where that's, happened. I don't think, especially a fight of this magnitude and so many eyeballs, I think everybody has done everything that they can to make sure that they're fully prepared for this, and I don't see a mental slip from anybody, at least on the mental side. Physicality, something can always pop up. Somebody can always have an upset stomach. Somebody could just have a bout with something. I mean, like, you never know. But in terms of, like, having their heads there and ready for this, both guys are going to go in there and just, and give us a top performance. And so I am leaning Ilya. But, again, at the end of the day, it's just engaging me. And I think if anybody was just like, oh, no, he has no chance, I don't think I think you've written Justin off well in advance, even though we know he's been talking about this being the end of the days is coming, but it does not mean that this is a Justin that is saying the end of the days are coming because I can no longer do this,
right?
Or I don't have the love of it. I mean, he's still absolutely dangerous and he's still right there. He just wants to get out because he's made the money, he's had fun, he wants to live his life before you really do see the damage.
Yep.
We've seen guys that go way too long, but no, I mean, Justin has plenty left in the tank, and boy, if he could get this, unify those things, and then know that the end is still near. I mean, like, there would be nothing more for him to accomplish. No. Fighting near the end of it, getting the belt, fighting near the end of his career. Boy, that could be even something right there. Like, if you win the belt, why not just Amanda Nunes that shit and just be like, this was incredible. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm just going to use this chance right now, too, to lay this belt down. Ilya, go take the next guy. It's yours to fight for again.
Listen, man,
why not?
There is no high, like, it
doesn't going to get any better than this one, bro.
Never going to get better.
Fighting in your hometown for your last fight ain't going to get as good as this.
No.
Like, this is it.
That would be the top, because, again, not only is this a once-in-a-lifetime, once-in-history type event, but the added, caveat of, like, he's come short of the undisputed title a couple times, and so this would finally get him over that hump. He would take out the undefeated guy. Like, there's just nothing else
two-time
out there.
interim champ. It's just ridiculous.
It's just,
yeah.
There would be no better way to walk out. And again, not like I'm trying to rush Justin Gaethje out the door, because we love Justin Gaethje fights, but bro,
once you start thinking about it, you're like, oh god, this really makes a lot of sense. Like, I haven't really thought about it right now, and I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah. You're like, yeah, bro, but we want you next time. We want you to headline Madison Square Garden. You'd be like, so what?
Why do I want to go to that place? Do they still talk about that place?
Oh man, like, so fun. By the way, oh man, Madison Square Garden last night, man. Did you see the battle? You probably didn't. You're too tight. The Knicks with the last-second comeback.
I literally was watching the game. I was like, okay, well, I think we're seeing where this is game going to go. And I was like, you got to get up at, like, whatever. My first alarm was set up around 4. So I was like, no need to stay awake for this. I think this game's over. I turned the game off, and then I started seeing everybody today losing their day of mind. I was like, what is all this chatter about whatever happened last night?
I don't watch a lot of basketball, but when it's the finals, like, I'll put the final, especially being in Pacific time zone. There's nothing better, right? The game starts at 5:30 p.m. Right? Like, I'm wrapping up work, I'm like cooking dinner, hanging out. So I had it on, and you're right. They're down by 30 at halftime, 29, and I'm like, but I'm like, I don't really want to find anything else on. Like, I kind of just want to zone out and get ready, hang out. So I left it on. So I ended up watching the whole thing. And then at the end, I'm watching that comeback, that final play. Just unbelievable, man. What a comeback from the. I'm not
so
a basketball fan, not a Knicks fan, but that was one of the craziest
Yeah.
sporting things I've
That's
ever
pretty
seen.
bonkers, man.
By the way, we'll also shout out the World Cup begins. That's going on as well. So obviously we're incredibly focused on the White House event, and I can't wait to get there. But today the World Cup starts. Mexico actually kicks off the first game. United States plays tomorrow night. I had every intention of going to multiple games in this tournament, but FIFA can take a I don't even want to say the words.
These nuts.
Bro, the way they set up the tickets, like the cheapest tickets, and there's tickets left to be sold, but it's like $1,100 a ticket is like the cheapest one. I'm like, I just can't justify that. It's not a finals game. It's not. My kid kind of likes it, but not really. So like, it would be great, but it's not even like his favorite thing. So I'm gonna take him to something he kind of cares about, and it's gonna cost us $2,200 for two basic ass tickets, and then plus transportation and hotel. Ridiculous.
I mean, you care. So I will ask you this because I know you care a lot more about the World Cup, and I'm sure listeners of us, especially the foreign ones, it means a lot more to them than I appreciate it, but I mean, like, I don't follow all the all the whatever. What do you think about what like people are sort of like saying about the way that the U.S. has sort of been treating a bunch of like the fans, let alone the referee, the Somalian referee that I think got set back that they didn't let in, and some of the other stuff? Do you think that's putting a bad face on America in the involvement in the World Cup for the way they're treating all this stuff going on?
100%. And I get it, man. Rules are rules, laws are laws, or whatever.
Yep.
Again, it's a White House event, so I guess if you're ever going to talk about politics, I guess this would be the time or whatever. I mean, I do believe this is a country that's built on immigration, and people should be able to come in. Obviously, it should all be done legally. You should be tracked, all that stuff.
Of course.
But it's it's not
like
it's
if
not
they have
a good
visas and their country's vouching for them. You think that would be
that would be enough. So I haven't looked into the specifics of it because obviously I've been busy, but it's a bad look for sure when you have these issues.
Right?
It's a bad look for us, and again, and it's obviously on a completely different level, but just the way they're handling all the stuff. Like I said, that the common fan is not going to be at these games, and I guess that's the way everything is now, man. I get it. Like the cost of everything is going up, and the prices to enjoy live entertainment are much higher than they used to be, but what they've done with the tickets is crazy because I very much assumed that it was going to be $200, $300, $400 a ticket per game. I was like, okay, I get it. You know what I mean? It's the World Cup. It's whatever. I'll pay that. But when the cheapest I can find a ticket for is like, and that's not a resale ticket. That's actually the FIFA tickets from their marketplace. Is like $1,100. I'm like, that's just insane. It's just ridiculous, and it's even like random games. So it's going to be interesting to see these stadiums because I don't think they're going to be packed unless they're just unloading these tickets for cheap late. So anyway, I'm excited about the tournament. I'm frustrated that I'm not going to get to go and enjoy it. I really wanted it to be take me and my kid. My son's 14 now, and of that age that he'll remember everything, and just kind of have a father-son trip. Maybe go catch a game in Canada, maybe go catch a game in Mexico, go catch one game in L.A. or Dallas, obviously, when I don't have to pay for a hotel because I can stay with my family and see my family and all that. So. And just the pricing is outrageous, and I know I've seen it. I mean, heck, I've even seen USA Today writing articles about it and things like that. It's a weird situation.
Oh yeah, no, they're all about it because I mean I know that here we are like trying to get everybody's amped up and ramped up, and I've spent so much time, like already like the live stream the other day, everything pushing to USA Today, and everybody's looking at all these eyeballs about the UFC White House stuff, but as much, and even maybe more so, because other chatter of stuff is kind of even filtered into these very focused chat groups about, say, the White House, and a lot of it's World Cup, it's the finals, all these sports stuff that's going on right now. So while there's a giant event going on that, people are talking about, is this going to beat the numbers on this? And is this going to, set world records and all these other crazy things? At the end of the day, here we are, and, you have these two major events that are going on and happening. And, all the while that's happening, you have these other sporting events and all these things that are sort of like, doing all these things, and it's just hard to kind of, I don't know, keep track of all this stuff going on because of all this peripheral shit, like it's just like, it's so kind of surreal that, so that makes me think, and I was starting to get sidetracked, but everybody was saying like, is this going to beat Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano, because there was nothing else going on at the same time as when those fights happened. This week, there's literally everything. And not just
NBA
small
finals,
events.
NHL finals.
Not just small events.
No.
Yes. The two major finals of two of the sports in the U.S. and, if not, the largest, most watched sporting event in the world with the World Cup starting up. Yes, can these numbers do big at the White House? 100%. Will they be big? Yes.
Well,
will they be big as they could? I don't know.
So just so you know, so this
it does help that it's Sunday night, though.
So I was going to say it's Sunday night, and just so to explain, excuse me, how dorky I am about this stuff, I have every World Cup game, excuse me, on my iCal, because I will watch as much as possible. If I'm not busy, even when I'm working, I'm going to have like every game on in the background. So on Sunday, as the fights are starting, the first game of the day is Germany versus Curacao, but that's early in the morning. Then you get Netherlands versus Japan. During the bulk of it, you have Ivory Coast versus Ecuador, and you have Sweden versus Tunisia. So at least it's not the U.S., it's not Canada, that sort of thing. So you at least have that going for it. But, yeah, you're right. The NBA finals, NHL finals.
Did the U.S. qualify?
Well, when you are the host nation, you don't have to qualify. You automatically get in. So they did not have to qualify.
I didn't think we would qualify.
No,
but I forgot about that little caveat.
Our team is not that bad, by the way. We're actually pretty good.
Not that great either.
You will have the Golden Knights playing on Sunday night, so that will be something to potentially distract your attention. So the NHL finals will be going on. Your question on the numbers is interesting. I'm not sure either, and I've been saying it all along. I don't know for a fact that this will beat the Ronda Carano numbers, simply because it is only on Paramount Plus. It's not on CBS.
Yep.
Completely understand that from a business decision. You know, Paramount, they're like, we have a once-in-a-lifetime event. People, and here's what I'm curious about, because I don't know that people necessarily want to tune in and watch a full fight or multiple fights, but I do feel like there's a general curiosity. Like, everybody's going to want to tune in, at least just see a little bit of it, right? And so I think that's why Paramount Plus says, well, we're not going to give away that little bit on CBS. We're going to if you want to watch it, you are going to have to pay for a subscription, or you're going to have to join, or at least get a free subscription, and then we get your customer data and all that stuff. So I understand that from a business perspective. But because of the fact that it's only on Paramount Plus, I don't know that it will beat those numbers. But I do believe, and I've said this from the beginning, and I'll stand by this, the social media impressions for this thing are going to be off the charts because of how much media is there, right? Like, this is not just living in the MMA space. This is not just living in the sports space. This is a cultural moment. It's living on every news outlet in the United States for sure, and I'm sure globally as well. So not every outlet globally, but you know what I mean. It's going to stretch out to other places. If there was a live sporting event on the at Red Square, I'm sure we would probably make a little bit of the American news or whatever. I mean, this is wild that it's happening. You know what I mean? So so I don't know if the ratings will beat it, but I do think the total views and impressions will be insane.
Yeah, and going off of my quick Google research numbers, when you look at the granted, if you did the percentage and maybe when it comes down to, maybe the number of subscribers and then the percentage of that Paramount has, maybe the numbers will sort of reflect a equal number of subscribers versus who actually tuned in it. Because when you look at Netflix, going off this search that I did, has 325 million subscribers worldwide.
Right.
Paramount, 79 million subscribers worldwide. Netflix is available in over 190 regions, what was the one? Where was it at?
Netflix is a global entity. Paramount Plus is not yet.
Yeah, so Netflix is available in nearly 200 countries, whereas Paramount Plus is available in only 45 to 50 localized markets. So when you think of just in terms of, one, it's dwarfing it in terms of actual subscribers that could potentially tune into it, and then let alone why aren't there the same number of subscribers? Maybe it's just not as popular. It's not even in anywhere close in the amount of areas that Netflix is available. So that's another one that's kind of, and let alone the fact that there's other stuff to kind of look at. It's not even, it doesn't even have the potential to get as many. If every single person, tuned in and had a 100%, subscriber to actually tune in, which nobody ever does. And I think if you look at the number of that they got, the percentage of people that are subscribers that tuned into Ronda Rousey, maybe they can beat that when it comes to the number of Paramount. Maybe the percentage of subscribers actually tunes in because it's a lower subscriber base. Maybe they can say, all right, well, see, our numbers were comparable, blah, 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 blah. You have some someone that'll be like, oh, no, when you look at the subscriber base, we actually hit the market value or whatever. But it's a tough ask, just for the fact that we knew Netflix was everywhere, and who knows how they tally up.
Well, that's what
I think we always wondered that too when people, those Nelson ratings, people would, they used to just check the boxes to see if the channel was touched for a moment, and then they can count it as a view or whatever. Maybe Netflix is like, well, we saw that Netflix was active in this home at that day, so more than likely we're going to count it that it was actually Rousey and whatever, or something like that.
It's interesting because
who knows?
Because you're so right about how, because I think with that event, people wanted to tune in at the same time because they wanted to watch Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano, right? With this, I think anybody that has Paramount Plus, I don't see why you wouldn't tune in at some point during the night just to see what this thing looks like. You've been hearing about it. You can't believe, right? You know what I mean? But you might be like, let me tune it on and I'll watch 10 minutes of the first fight, or I'll watch 10 minutes of the second fight, or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't think anybody's like, I have to watch Ilia Topuria and Justin Gaethje. Now, I'm not talking about MMA fans. Remember, I'm just saying a general person.
The casual.
Casual is just going to be like, dude, I got to see what this is about. So how do they do viewership? Because I don't think the concurrent viewership will be 17 million or whatever, but do I think at least 17 million subscribers tune in at one point in the night just to see what the hell is going on with these fights at the White House? Absolutely. If you have Paramount Plus, why wouldn't you just tune in for a few minutes and see what's going on? You know what I mean? So,
and the news coverage after the fact, that is one thing that the people are going to be talking about this event for some time.
Yep.
Rousey and Carano, it was done after, like, the next week when, like, oh, well, Ronda does what Ronda does. There's whatever the 27 seconds, 17 seconds, like, whatever. Might as well have been 5 seconds that the fight went on. And then people were like, Ronda did her thing. Will Ronda be back? Oh, I don't know. And then the news cycle was gone. This one, every news organization is still going to be talking about it. And there's going to be time after it because people are going to look back at the event afterwards, after it's been deconstructed, after how does the White House look? How does this? Mm-hmm. President Trump, are you still happy that this worked? Blah, 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 blah. It's going to be in people's headspace for a while. Does that mean anything? Nobody. You can't go to a fight promoter. A fight promoter's not going to be like, hey, did you see how long they talked about our event the last time, for a month? Like, nobody cares. But in the terms of, like, the scope and the overall reach, it's already bigger in the overall reach of what this meant to a lot of people and the news, the impressions that it's making, much more so than anything that Ron and them did in the lead up. They did there were some commercials, they did whatever, but that's why Ronda was on the mic trying to talk, to get those impressions on the TV, get impressions on the social channels, people, whatever. Already the impressions that this story and this whole event has had worldwide is just huge. I don't want to say it.
There you go. I see what you did there.
It beats the Rousey and Carano, but at the end of the day, the only number people talk about is how many viewers watched it as it happened. But in terms of the scope of what this event, I mean, it's hard to quantify that because nobody's tracking all these impressions that are happening right now out there on all these different news organizations. But I guarantee none of these foreign outlets and these other countries and their major things were ever even thought about talking about Rousey and Carano coming back. Exactly. But did they talk about how there's an event at the UFC White House in America? Yes, of course. That talk is happening all over the world, because they're like, what the heck is going on? What is up with this dude? And like, there's a fight happening on the White House, like,
it's crazy.
So it's pretty impressive, but those numbers will never translate over to somebody that's just like, well, we had 17 million viewers. It's not the same. It's hard to say those numbers, but nobody's going to brag about well, we were on every news outlet and blah 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 blah, blah whatever.
I can't wait. I cannot wait to get there. All right, let's go.
It's gonna be bonkers.
I can't wait. It's an experience. It's a once in a lifetime experience, and I absolutely can't wait. All right, let's go through real quick. Alex Pereira and Cyril Gane. Are you concerned with the weight of Alex Pereira? Because I am. No. You think this is Pereira all day?
I mean, I wouldn't say. I mean, I think Cyril, just like with the other matchup, I think Cyril's got a certain. I thought Cyril's got a great chance. I thought he looked in. I thought he looked in peak form against Tom Aspinall. But man, we've been seeing Alex for a while. Man, Alex is every bit a legit heavyweight with that body frame that he's got on him. I mean, I think he's wearing it. I think he's wearing it well. I mean, I don't think he. I mean, while people are like, oh, he looked a little soft or whatever, I mean, like, his body was transforming, he was getting big. But, man, when they were matched up, they were looking straight each other in the eyes. One wasn't looking down upon the other. It wasn't like these are both two giant dudes. And they're the different type of heavyweight. You know, like, we've seen heavier, fatter heavyweights, and it wasn't like you went to Cyril and like, oh, Cyril going to be right. This guy's so much bigger than him. You got two guys that are, you know, big, muscular dudes that neither one of them is going to be pushing near the 265, you know, range or whatever. But no, I mean, I feel pretty confident. And with the way that Alex fights, it's not like he's running forward and he's going to be expending himself and get tired because he's carrying this extra weight, you know. Like, I mean, he's sort of just, you know, he's very methodical. But the same with Cyril. Cyril's, you know, it's not like he's going to force him out of him, you know. Like, he's going to do his thing. But, man, I'm literally going to be the edge of my seat because I just want to see one of these guys just cock that arm back and just knock the other out, and both of them have that power. But man, I'm here for the story, man. I'm here for Alex's story, man. To a 3-division champion,
unbelievable,
is just
unbelievable,
iconic, man. It's just legend, man. That would just be incredible.
I've been saying,
but I mean, Cyril, man, Cyril is something, man. Who didn't? I mean, like, I was riding the Tom Aspinall like train, man. I was like, yeah, man, Tom. Get in with this Cyril. And I was like,
look good.
Where's Tom at? Where's Tom at? I was like, this Cyril cat, where's this guy been? You know, it was hard to, you know, I think plus we had that, like, Cyril was what was on our brain. The last time we saw Cyril was with seeing the Jones fight. And we were just like, how the difference of that Cyril Gane versus Tom Aspinall. It was like two different dudes that were at different parts in their career. One got manhandled and the other manhandled the champ. You know,
Yep.
I was like, this is crazy.
I'm excited about this fight. I'm excited about this fight. I think Cyril, if he can stick and move and just stay busy, like, you know, active movement, great footwork, not let himself get trapped against the fence, not let him get stuck in exchanges. I feel like he's the more athletic at heavyweight, just because Alex, you know, he's moving up and he is carrying extra weight, and he hasn't been carrying extra weight. But obviously, Alex has the power to knock out anybody. My thing is that if he does this, if Alex Pereira wins this, I'm still not ready to call him the greatest of all time. I do believe it is without question one of the greatest accomplishments of all time.
Yes.
Like, it's one of the most historic things
one of
ever.
the greatest achievements,
one
ever
of the greatest achievements, but that doesn't make him the. And I don't fault Dana White for saying it makes him the GOAT, because for Dana White, he's a fight promoter. It does him no good to promote John Jones as the GOAT, because John Jones ain't got a fight coming up. You know what I mean? It behooves him to promote the guy now. So I don't fault him for saying that. But for me personally, one of the greatest accomplishments of all time, not the greatest of all time. I want to ask you real quick about Josh Hoggett and Derek Lewis. And Josh, look, I think everybody enjoys his fights. I've said it personally. I physically cringe. Like, it makes me uncomfortable. And the beginning of his media day made me uncomfortable, where he started doing this. At least he didn't have his coach translating for him. And I apologize, I don't know his coach's name. That thing, when they do that, I'm like,
I thought it was Doug. He kept saying Doug, and I was like, oh wait, no, that's just his character bit. He's like, when he's like, oh, you know what I'm saying, Doug? Hey, Doug. I was like, is Doug the coach guy up there?
That's too
I was like,
funny.
Is that why he keeps saying it? And then he said it this time. I was like, oh, I guess Doug's just this imaginary person.
That's Doug. That's Doug.
Is it Doug?
Not Doug. Doug.
It sounds like he says Doug.
Yeah, when he does that, when he does the whole coach talking for him thing, I hate that. I saw the TMZ interview you did. I love the fact that they just cut it off. And it's no disrespect to the coach, whatever. It's just like, we can't do anything with that. Like, that's not an actual quote from the fighter. So for social media, for an article you're writing or whatever, like, you can't do anything with it. So at least they've gotten rid of that act. I kind of enjoy the fact that he's kind of coming in and out of character.
It's just because the PR stops letting him bring the dude in.
Is that what they did? They're
I'm sure
just not
his
letting
team
him
still wants
Good.
to do it. I think Cost and them are just like, no.
It's
your
useless.
team
it's
can't
absolutely
do it
useless. We can't do anything with it. We can't do anything
Yep.
with it. But I kind of enjoyed what he did the other day, right?
Yep.
Where he started out.
He checked himself.
He checked himself.
He stopped.
And if you want to interlace some real answers with drifting in and out of character to have fun,
Yep.
I like that. I think that's good. You know what I mean?
I've tried even saying that to him afterwards when he was posing with because they were having every fighter go off to the side and sort of like take their pictures or whatever. And I don't think he heard me, but I was sitting in the front row when he came to our side. I was like, "That's the Josh we like." We like that Josh.
Well done,
like
Cold
that, Josh.
Coffee. Well done, Cold
I don't know
Coffee.
if he really paid attention or listened. I was like, "Yeah, we like that Josh," but I was just like, because he was like, "We're like, yeah." Like when he was like, "Oh, it was a tough set," blah, blah, blah. I was like, well, I'm glad you broke character to came back to be a human being that could actually interact and see how much more helpful that is for the media day. Media gets some answers. You actually get to talk to people and get your personality out there, and you don't put everybody off. Alex Pea said in the media day, he's like, I don't know if it's true, whatever. I'm hearing some things that the guy might be kind of working himself out if he doesn't get this win, because he thinks that since all he does is this talking, that he's causing more problems for himself, that he's, people are thinking like it's not worth it keeping this guy around. So I'm like, okay, maybe Josh is hearing the same sort of thing, or he's starting to hear bits like, bro, if we bring you to stuff, you can't just be a jackass and stay in character and not do what we need you to do, or we're going to stop bringing you to stuff or whatever. I mean, you could still be, if he goes out there and he keeps winning, it would certainly keep going for a little bit longer. It'll certainly keep going a little bit longer. But if you go out there and you get knocked out, then the bit becomes tired, and they're like, why do we keep this guy around? He's not scratching our back, and now he's losing.
Right. Oh, no.
Why do we keep him?
You got to win. Okay, so check this out. So if Alex wins and Josh wins and Aspinall's healthy,
Aspinall for Husky? Aspinall Husky. I don't like Josh and Alex. If
okay, so you go ahead and stick with what needs to be done and do the unification.
That's jumping way up the line. Just because if Alex asked for it, cool, let's do it.
Okay, yeah,
let's
I like
do it
that
because the champ asked for it.
If the champ says, "I want to shut that guy up. I'm so sick of him," like, Tom,
you do it.
You got your shot, Tom. I'll be with you, Tom. But I want to shut this dude up first. And
if the champ says you can skip the line, you can skip the line. But if the UFC's like, oh no, this is just as our dude, and I know that there's heat, then this is why people talked about the Ali Act and why people talked about why the number one and the number two people and why the top people at the thing. If he beats Derek Lewis, does not make him the number two, does not make him the number one contender in any stretch of the world.
Yep.
There's nothing that says that. The only thing that would make that is people asking for it and Dana saying, yes, I love this heat. But that would be shit. But again, at the end of the day, if Alex is like, okay, you proved yourself. You got over Derek Lewis. That's a challenge. Blades was a challenge. He looked rough, but he was able to make Curtis look even rougher to where Curtis couldn't do it. And you cannot take that away from Hokit. Hokit stood there and banged like a mofo.
Yep.
And you can't take anything away from that. If he does that to Derek and beats Derek, you can't take that away either. But that does not make him jump the line to the top because there's still legit people at the top. And, I would just be sick to stomach if they were like, okay, that's next.
It's a very
without
reasonable
the
take.
Champ asking for it.
That's a very reasonable take. Very, very, very measured and a reasonable take. I like that a lot, man. I like that. And something tells me Alex wouldn't even want to give him the shine, to be honest with you, based on their interaction so far. That I think he'd be like, no, I'm going for undisputed status. I'm going. I
don't think
greatness.
He respects him.
Yeah.
I think he respects him as the fighter for what he's done. But outside of that, I don't think he has respect of him as a human, as a man, as a representative of the sport. I think we've seen Alex, and Alex has always been a great sort of just representative of doing the business, not really talking shit. He has a phrase that doesn't mean anything that's become a catchphrase. He doesn't have to talk garbage about whatever, but he's willing to do whatever. He just very stoic and very just does his thing. He acts like a champion.
Yep.
And I don't think that he wants to give the respect to someone that can't act like a champ and give them a champion shot, But at the end of the day, though, I mean, he says some things that pisses Alex off, and Alex asked for it. Let's go for it. But, dude, he was 3 feet over from him talking shit. Granted, there was a language barrier, but Alex knew that he was talking some shit.
Right.
Ilya obviously understood, knew. So Alex knew, but he's like, I'm not even going to let this bother me.
Didn't even look in his direction.
Didn't even look in his direction. So he's not even registering. So if he gets a win over Derek, which I hope he doesn't, and I talked with Coach Perez, Bob said Derek is angry.
Yeah, I bet.
Derek is worked up. Derek wants to hurt him. And he's like, I've never seen Derek angry like this, or not really angry, but like motivated just to knock somebody out.
There's a lot of times
and I'm just like, oh, yeah. Dude, that's nice to hear, Coach.
I've been saying the same thing, like, and not obviously I didn't have the talk with his team, but I could just sense it and feel it. And there's been a lot of fights where Derek Lewis shows up, and we all know what Derek's capable of, but you just wonder, because he doesn't love fighting. I mean, that's always been evident, right? Yep. It's not like his passion; it's just how he supports his family, and he makes good money doing it, but he doesn't love it. And so there's been a lot of times where he gets in there, and you can tell, like, But this dude, I feel like Josh flipped a switch in him where he's like, "Oh, I'm about to teach this kid a lesson. That you don't come at me like that." So I'm excited for that.
And granted, obviously the coach is going to talk up his thing, but we've known Coach Bob for a long time.
He doesn't lie.
And I've seen, there was something different about this one, like the belief. Obviously, he believes in his fighters, but I really feel like they've done some work. But the fact that he was fired up, he's like, Kenny, I'm telling you. He's like, Derek's fired up. Derek's mad. Derek wants to hurt this dude. He's like, I love seeing. He's like, I haven't seen him this angry at somebody or this. I forget the exact phrasing, but it was almost like angry or wanting to kick somebody's ass like this. And I was like, bro, I love that you're saying that because I want to see that version of Derek. We've seen the Derek that's gets in his head and doesn't throw or does some weird crazy kick shit. I'm like, bro, just walk forward and throw hands, man. And if Josh does the same, let's see if this plays out. If him and Derek do what him and Blades did, somebody's gonna fall.
Oh, fast.
Somebody's gonna fall, man, fast.
You can't do that. You can't do that. I love it, man. I can't wait. Look, again, everybody kind of, poo-pooed on the card when it was first announced, but Diego Lopez, Steve Garcia, there's no way that fight's not incredible. Me personally, obviously, the CFFC ties, the Kyle Dawkins versus Bo Nickel, I'm incredibly fired up with that. Michael Chandler versus Mauricio Hufi, that is another fight that's going to be crazy. We just talked about
but that's my least favorite fight, I think.
Just because you're worried about Chandler?
Yeah, and I like Chandler, but Hoofy, man, when he's on, he's super dangerous. I don't want to see Chandler go out there and
I love Michael Chandler.
Get mauled on. But man, if he could pull some up, but the size difference is just ginormous, man. The size difference is just they look like two different weight classes.
If ever there was a time for Michael Chandler to pull out that Missouri Tigers wrestling, this would be it, right? But I don't think he will.
But he tries to throw him hands. He just wants to throw hands, and I'm like, bro. Stop. Do what you need to do. Chandler. But I would love it if he could do the wrestling thing and do some whatever. But man, we haven't seen that in a while. We just haven't seen that in a while, and I don't know if I don't want to say that it's that he's not capable. It's just I think he loves his hands when his hands do whatever. But he's the kind too that he'll end up having to go out on his shield before that happens.
He's always
unfortunately.
Excited.
But yeah, that's probably my. That's the one I will watch. I'm like, please. I don't want to see, I don't want to see it and get hurt and be, especially there of all places, the fight card that he wanted to be on more than anything else. I would hate to see him leave that octagon in less than.
That used to be me every time
desirable favors.
Every time Andre Arlovsky would go out there, I've been watching. Oh God, please don't let him get clipped. Don't let him get clipped. So I like Chandler. And of course, the superstar Sean O'Malley versus Amin Zahabi is there as well. So these are fun fights. It's great fights, and yes, the story is about the place itself. So this is unbelievable, man. We've been talking about it forever. This thing has been on the radar for absolute ever.
So close.
And it's finally
a few days away.
Just a couple, about 36 hours from jumping on a plane and joining you out there in Washington, D.C. So hopefully we'll get a frosty beverage together on Saturday evening And then Sunday is going to be all kinds of crazy. So I'm excited for it, man. I'm excited for it. So I know you're ready to go basically get a nice meal and maybe go back to bed after waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
I think you about hit it on the head. You know, I'm like, it feels a lot later than it is right now, and I'm like, bro, I'm gonna go get some food, and then I think I'm just gonna come back here and then just see what happens.
Much respect.
I might stay awake. I might rally. Or I might just go to bed. But if I go to bed now, I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night, and I'm going to have to deal with this all over again. So I'm just like, I'm going to have to suck it up.
I'm glad that you took the tour. I know you were a little worried about whether the timing would work out because you mentioned it, but they took all the media on the big bus tour, which is actually really cool. I didn't get to do it when I was there for PFL, but my wife and my kid both did it, where you jump on a tour, and it's a big bus, open air, 2-level, whatever, like drives you around near all the monuments, and you can see it. And if you've never been to Washington, D.C., and you can put it into your schedule, it is pretty cool to see all that stuff, man. Like, it's our nation's capital, you know what I mean? For better or worse, with everything that's going on, it's pretty cool to see all the monuments and the history and all that stuff. So I'm glad that you got to do that and at least soak in a little bit of town, because I know there's a lot of work to be done. You know, press conference tomorrow, official, the ceremonials, fights, it's going to be a lot. But I'm glad you got to soak it in a little bit. So hopefully you can enjoy a little bit more of Washington, D.C. I will join you on Saturday. I think I land during the official weigh-in, so I will head to the hotel. I think I'll get there right around the end of the official weigh-in, so it won't be of much use there, but then I'll be around for the ceremonials, and I guess maybe we'll soak in a little Zach Brown band or something, and then obviously the fights on Sunday.
That should be fun.
Look forward to hanging out with you. For everybody else, thanks for listening.